Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Authentic Sales Formula, an entrepreneur's guide to serving more clients without being pushy or salesy. My name is Ursula Mentjes, and I am an award-winning author, speaker, and sales coach. I'm also the founder of Sales Coach Now, and I'm excited to be with you here today to share this information with you because I truly believe that it can change your life. My personal mission is to help entrepreneurs and sales professionals just like you double and triple their sales in a short amount of time so you can make lots of money and give back to the organizations you care about. Because isn't that what we all desire? I mean, think about it. What if selling could truly be easy for you? What if it didn't have to be hard? What if you didn't have to feel pushy? What if you didn't have to feel salesy? All of that is possible. It's possible for you to really have the freedom and peace that you've been looking for. So I just want to welcome you to this online course. I see many of you are joining us right now. Hello and welcome. We're going to get started. I know more of you are coming on. It's just excited to see you here. Check out the chat box, and I would love it if you would let us know where you're from, where are you located. Tell us about your business, your name, anything that you want to share. And we just want to know who's out there with us. I'm excited to have you here. As we go through today, please feel free to use the chat box. You can certainly ask questions. I'm going to be answering the questions at the end. I know there's some questions that we get pretty frequently that I'll be answering for you as well. So we're going to do 3 things today. I'm going to share my journey with you, why I ended up in this field of sales and selling, and how I've gone from being a very fearful salesperson who hated selling to now a sales expert and sales coach who's literally helped hundreds of sales professionals and entrepreneurs double and triple their sales in a short amount of time. So I'm going to share my story. Then I'm going to share the authentic sales formula with you. It's really an opportunity for you to discover how to serve more clients without being pushy or salesy, which I know is why you're here. So stick with me. I'm thrilled to have you here. And at the very end, I'm going to also extend an invitation to you to take another step. So I'll share with you all of that today and more as we move through this together. And as we're, kind of jumping into this mindset and this new way of thinking and being, I just want you to ask yourself, why am I here? Why did you decide to come on board and join this webinar today? What is it about this information that's exciting to you? Right? That's what I want to know. What is it that brought you here? Was it the idea that you didn't have to be salesy anymore? What was it? But before we jump in, I'm going to have my friend Brian Tracy and my mentor tell you a little bit more about me, and then we'll dive into the content. Here we go.
Hello, my name is Brian Tracy, and I'm delighted to introduce you to my friend Ursula Mentjes, an award-winning entrepreneur, author, speaker, and sales expert. At just 22 years old, Ursula launched her sales career as an outside sales professional. Within a year, Ursula was promoted to branch management, where she grew a $1 million branch in 12 months. Within 5 years, Ursula was promoted to president of that company when the revenues was in the tens of millions of dollars. In addition, Ursula holds a BA in psychology and communications, a master's degree in counseling psychology, and an NLP certified coach through the NLP Institute of California. She's the author of 3 award-winning books, Selling with Intention, One Great Goal, and Selling with Synchronicity. She was named the Polka Dot Powerhouse's Extraordinary Speaker and is the recipient of the SBA's Women in Business Champion Award. Since launching her own business, Sales Coach Now, Ursula has helped hundreds of sales professionals and entrepreneurs double their sales quickly by teaching them the sales skills and mindset they need to make selling easier. Plus, Ursula is a captivating speaker and always leaves her audiences begging for more. Now, here's Ursula.
Thank you, Brian. I love Brian Tracy. He's been a mentor and a friend. He's been kind enough to endorse my books, and I just have learned so much from him. And he's inspired me to ask you this question. I've been asking myself this question for years, but what would it be like if you doubled your sales this year? What would it be like if you tripled your sales? What would be different in your business and in your life? And if you haven't yet, take out a piece of paper and a pen because I want you to take notes today. I want you to write down answers to these questions I'm going to ask you because you're going to walk away with some heavy content that you can take immediate steps with. So, what one or two things would be different in your business and in your life when you double or triple your sales this year? Notice I said when, not if. We're moving on to when, right? When you double or triple your sales. So, maybe what would be different? Maybe you would have a sense of freedom. Maybe you wouldn't be fearful of looking at your finances anymore. Maybe you would stop worrying so much. Maybe you would invest in some of the things that you've wanted to invest in for your business and in your life. So just write down 2 or 3 things and feel free to share in the chat box as well. Go ahead. Awesome. Yes. Okay. So someone would buy a new boat. You must live in Minnesota. You must live in the Midwest. What else would be different? You would hire people. You would get the help you need. Excellent. We hear those things a lot whenever I'm speaking, or when I'm at sales camp sharing this information. There's so many changes. It would be, personal things like a new car. It would be hiring, getting the support you need. It could be moving into new space. So many reasons to double and triple your sales. Yep. For some of you, it could be investing in your retirement account. Excellent. The reason you have to know why you want to do this is because on your toughest days, you're going to have to remind yourself why you got into this. Why did you launch your own business? Why was that important to you? And for a lot of you, it's because you want to make a difference in the world. I'm committed to helping entrepreneurs and sales professionals like you make a lot of money so you can give back to the organizations you care about and live a great life. That's my why. I constantly remind myself of that. So when you know your why, you can always come back to it. As I mentioned, I'm going to share the authentic sales formula with you. There's 6 steps, and you can see them here. We're going to go into detail with each one of them, so you don't have to write anything down yet. But we're going to talk about step number 1, the importance of knowing who you are. We'll talk about how to create an impact goal. This is very different than maybe how you've set sales goals in the past. We'll discuss how to serve only your top 20% and why that's important. We'll also get into setting meaningful appointments. Step number 5 is how to finesse your follow-up. And step number 6 is how to make not selling, how to make serving a habit. So we'll talk about why that's important as well. Let me tell you a little bit about me so you know why I'm doing this. Again, this is all about you, but I have to tell you about myself so you know why I care about entrepreneurs like you. You can see on the right-hand side is our son, Luca, and on the left is a picture of my husband, Tim, and Luca. We are in La Jolla. This was our one of our Christmas cards this last year. And, we are thrilled to live the life that we're living. We lived in California for a long time, and we loved it. And then we moved back to the Midwest about 3 years ago, and we wanted to be closer to family because we had our son. I'm also from Minnesota. I'll come back to that other one in a moment. I'm from here. I'm a farm girl from southern Minnesota, and I loved growing up in the Midwest, grew up on a farm, thought I was going to be here forever. My parents said, go to college and get a good job. Oh, in case you're wondering, yep, I'm the little boy in the middle. Yeah, you can laugh. Those are my brothers. And growing up on the farm, I loved every second of it, but my parents said, go to college, get a good job. So that was my plan. And I ended up going to St. Olaf College, which is a little school, college, the closest one I could find to the farm. It's about 20 minutes from our farm. And I majored in psychology and communication, which I could do what with when I graduated? Yeah, if you said nothing, you're probably right. Some people say nothing. Some people say sell. Some people say everything. Well, I wanted to go to law school, but I didn't have money to pay for it. And so at that time, I was working at Pier 1 Imports, making $6.25 an hour with one of my really good friends, Jana. And one day Jana came to me and she said, we have this opportunity to move to Colorado. We could still be working at the Boulder Pier 1 Imports there. We could still make $6.25 an hour. And we could live with my aunt and uncle. And her aunt and uncle, it turned out her uncle was an entrepreneur as well. And so without thinking too much through it, we moved to Colorado. We worked at Pier 1 Imports there. And at about that time, I got really clear that, $6.25 an hour was not going to pay for law school. And I started to do a lot of research, and I took all these tests, and it said I'd be really good in outside sales and marketing. But I didn't know anyone in outside sales and marketing, wasn't sure what that meant. But I thought, well, if I could make a lot of money there, I could pay for law school. And the long and short of it, and Brian Tracy shared a little bit of this already, but the long and short of it is I ended up getting a job in outside sales because I met someone while I was working at Pier 1 Imports who worked for an international computer training consulting company. And I was hired in an outside sales position. Even though I remember the interview very clearly, I remember telling them I didn't have any sales experience, I didn't have business experience, I didn't know anything about technology. And I think they kept saying, well, we think you'll work really hard. And I think that was because of my farm background that they thought I would work really hard. And they were right. And I'll never forget my first day on the job. They handed me basically a sales script after a day of training on how to sell Microsoft certified training. They showed me all of my contacts in our CRM, in our ACT database, and they were government contacts in the Denver area. And literally I could call any of them and set an appointment, which sounds kind of easy, right? And then I would sell technical training. So that was my new job. I was also required to make 100 cold calls. Yes, 100 cold calls. Raise your hand or feel free to share in the chat box if you've ever had to make a cold call. Yep, painful, right? Oh. And so I decided that I was going to do this job no matter what. And I remember picking up the phone for the first time after all this mentoring and training. And what do you think I was praying when I went to make that first sales call? Yep. If you guessed that I was praying, some of you are writing yep. If you guessed that I was praying that no one would answer, you're absolutely correct. And that's what all of my audiences everywhere always say. Please, God, please don't let them answer. Some of you might have prayed that this morning, right? It's cold calling is hard. Warm calling is hard. And, today I'm not just talking about cold calling. The authentic sales formula is really about warm calling or cold calling. And we'll get into that. My point being that I hated everything about selling when I first started. And what happened was I went out and bought every book I could on sales and selling, from Brian Tracy's The Psychology of Selling to Jeffrey Gitomer's The Sales Bible. And then I found this little book by the now late Dr. Wayne Dyer called The Power of Intention. And that book changed my life. I got this idea. I thought, what if I started to sell with intention? What if every time I picked up the phone, my intention was to get the appointment? And every time I got the appointment, my intention was to close the sale. What would happen? You guessed it. I started to get a lot of appointments. And I was making cold calls, but I was being very intentional with my language and with how I was positioning myself. And very quickly, my territory grew. The long and short of it is that within a few years, within a year, I was branch manager of the Colorado Springs office. In 1 year, I grew that office with my team from zero to about $83,333 a month, which is how much a year? That's right, $1 million office. I went on to open and support another office this office was already opened in Santa Ana, California, but it had a lot of challenges, and I moved out to Southern California to take on that office at the age of 23. And within a few short years, when most offices were doing about $300,000 a month, our branch hit as high as multi-millions per month. And I had a couple salespeople who were doing over $1 million a month in sales themselves. So 10 times that office was doing what an average office did. And we did it because we were selling with intention. By the time I was 27 years old, I became president of this company. It was a multi-million dollar company. It was an extraordinary experience. And I share that with you, not to say, look what I did. I share it with you because if I can do it, I'm this farm girl right here from Minnesota. If I can do it, you can do it too. And since then, I've launched my own company. I speak, I'm a paid speaker now, a professional speaker at corporations, since these are some of our clients. I've also launched our Sales Camp Signature course. We have another program called Synchronized Coaching, and we literally have helped hundreds of clients double and triple their sales in a short amount of time. And we do that by teaching them the principles of selling with intention, which are included in what I'm sharing with you today in the authentic sales formula. So are you ready for a breakthrough? I want to hear you. I feel like I can hear you right now. I know, like you're still with me. You're listening. You're here with me because you're ready for a breakthrough. You're probably tired of working so hard and not seeing the results that you know you deserve. And today I'm going to share with you how you can sell authentically and not feel pushy or salesy. So let's do this. There are actually 6 steps, as I shared with you, that we'll go through today. The first step in the authentic sales formula is know who you are. Know who you are. And this is so important because I know most of our clients and people who attend our events really hate selling. Here they are, they're entrepreneurs, they have businesses just like you. And yet they're stuck because the idea of picking up the phone is horrifying. The idea of following up more than once or twice makes them sick to their stomachs. Can you relate to this? And it's really, truly an epidemic. And I feel like no one talks about this. And did you know that you could go to elementary school, you could go to middle school, you could go to high school, you could go to college, you could get an MBA at Harvard and still not have a class in sales or selling? In fact, selling in our world today is a 4-letter word, isn't it? Think about it. No one likes salespeople, and yet we become entrepreneurs and we pretend that we're not salespeople. We pretend that we're not selling anything, and yet if we don't sell anything, if we don't put ourselves out there, if we don't grow our company, what happens? The company goes under, and it happens very frequently, way too often than it needs to. And for the most part, it's because people don't know how to sell. They don't know how to sell. Think about it. If you go on Shark Tank, what's the first question they ask you? They want to know your sales. What are your monthly sales? People have great ideas. You can have the best idea in the world, but if you can't sell it to someone, if you can't sell yourself to someone, it's really tough to grow your business. So you have to know who you are. So a lot of people think that they're not salespeople. A lot of entrepreneurs will say, Ursula, whatever it is, I had a client say that to me one time. She said, whatever you do, don't call me a salesperson. I am not a salesperson. And I said to her, I said, well, oh, okay. Well, you've grown a $500,000 company, right? Yes. You've had this company for 20 years, right? Yes. Okay. So who takes the orders? Who answers the phone to take your client's payment information? Who finalizes the deal with your prospects? And of course, she answered yes, that it was her to all these questions. She said, that's me. I do that. I do that. I do that. And I told her, I said, I have news for you. I said, not only are you a salesperson, but you are the top salesperson in your company. I remember she laughed at me and it was like, oh, she said, whoa, you're right. She said, I am the top salesperson in my company. I am a salesperson. And she had to see that not only was she a salesperson, she was the top salesperson in her company and that it wasn't a bad thing. And so we had a whole conversation about what it really means to be a salesperson. And I asked her, I said, do you serve your clients or do you sell them? And she said, I serve them. I said, do you take money from them? Yes. And I said, so what if serving and selling are the same thing? And it took her a while to get to that new belief, but she finally got there. And she got to the belief, she just had to be able to get to the belief of, I am a salesperson and I'm a great salesperson. And once she got to that belief, she picked up the phone and started calling business partners in her area. She was very well known on Angie's List. She was super successful. People knew who she was. As soon as she started calling her referral partners, they started sending her business. A lot of them said, we did business a long time ago, but we haven't heard from you. We didn't know if you were still in business. They just didn't know where she was. Within a year, she was doing about $90,000 a month in sales. She doubled her sales. She hit $1 million. That was her goal. But she had stopped because of that one belief. So think about it for yourself. What is your limiting belief about sales, about selling, about salespeople? Is it that you hate salespeople? Is it that they're greedy? What is it? Is it that selling has to be hard? Okay, check in with yourself right now. And I want you to write down your number one limiting belief. What is your number one limiting belief about sales and selling? My original limiting belief before I became an NLP certified coach, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. I went to the NLP Institute of California. I had to do a lot of training. I had to do a lot of work on myself when I started my own company because, selling for someone else is one thing. Selling myself and my own company, my own products and services, turned my whole world upside down. I always say having your own company is like being in the biggest self-development course of your life, right? And so my biggest belief was that, selling has to be hard. I have to work hard to make a lot of money, and I'm not enough. I didn't believe I was enough. I didn't believe it was me. I had the whole imposter syndrome. You name it, I had it. And my new belief became money flows to me easily and effortlessly every day, and I am enough. And once I got to that new belief, and I still believe that to this day, money flows to me easily and effortlessly every day from every direction. And I am more than enough. I know that I'm a sales expert. I know I can solve people's problems. I do it all the time. We have proof. Now that I know this belief and I'm confident and I expect this belief to keep coming to fruition every single day, our business continues to grow and I continue to help clients at a higher and higher level. That's how powerful one belief is. So let's dive into what your limiting belief might be. I know you're on this, you're listening to this webinar because one of your limiting beliefs is about being a pushy salesperson. I don't want to be perceived as being a pushy salesperson either. And we'll get into the statistics, but if you don't follow up, you're probably not going to close sales. If you don't walk people through the process properly, you're probably not going to close sales. If you don't set appointments with people, you're probably not going to close enough sales. And so what I want you to do is to write down, let's play with this limiting belief. I'm not a pushy salesperson. I don't want to be perceived as being a pushy salesperson. I don't like salespeople. So write that down. And I want you to think about what potentially might not be true. 3 things that might not be true about that limiting belief. Number 1 could be that you really care about your clients. How can you be pushy if you really care about your clients? Right? Think about that. Number 2, in terms of what might not be true, it could be that you care, as we talked about, you care at a deep level, you want to make a difference, and you're either going to help them or you're going to refer them to someone who can help them. So how can you be pushy if you're showing up to support them in that way? What else is not true about being pushy? Think about that for a moment. It might also be looking at the evidence of all the clients that you've helped and the difference you've made in their lives, the difference you've made in their businesses. Like you start to see the evidence of how you're not pushy and how you're really there to serve them. It could be that you're not pushy in your language. You're always showing up in a way that's supportive and you're asking questions to help. Because the truth is you're not a pushy salesperson. You wouldn't even be listening to this webinar if you were. Like a pushy salesperson wouldn't, if they didn't care about their client, they wouldn't be listening to this. I already know this about you. You're not a pushy salesperson. So what are you then? If we're going to figure out who you really are, and knowing who you are is really important, who are you? And this is what I want you to write down because this is the new belief I want you to take on. I am a professionally persistent problem solver. Write that down. I am a professionally persistent problem solver. And then I want you to add one thing to that. So I am a professionally persistent problem solver and server. This is new. I'm adding this in. I'm a professionally persistent problem solver and server. Because if that's who you are, then you can never be perceived as being pushy. If you're there to help your clients and solve their problems, think about that. If that's how you show up, if that's who you know you are, and when this becomes your new belief, think about who you will call. Right? Think about if you didn't have fear, if you believed you were a professionally persistent problem solver and server, who would you pick up the phone and call today? And whoever those names are, the names of the companies or the individuals that just popped into your mind, I want you to write them down. At least 2. Write down 2 of them. And I want you to, next to them, I want you to write down by when you're going to call them. Because truthfully, this one step, knowing who you are, and taking on this new belief can change everything. We're going to take it one step further. For the next 30 days, you're going to write this down every single day, 20 times in the morning. I am a professionally persistent problem solver and server. Do it for 30 days. I guarantee you that your belief will start to shift and the way you show up will start to shift. What you expect to happen will start to shift. Your confidence will go up because how can you not be confident if you know who you are and you're making a difference for your clients? Of course, you're going to be confident. All right. You've got this. Because remember, the fear of being perceived, whatever your biggest fear is the exact place you'll stop every time. So if your fear is that you'll be perceived as being pushy, you'll stop before you pick up the phone. You'll stop before you close the sale. However, when you believe that I am a professionally persistent problem solver, the fear is gone. The fear is gone. One of our clients, Patty Cotton, she's an executive coach. She's incredible. Patty has shared her story many times publicly at some of our events and actually in my next book, The Belief Zone. And Patty shared, we had a 30-minute phone call together and we worked on, her fears around following up and her limiting beliefs about selling. And we shifted her belief so that she could get to this belief about being a professionally persistent problem solver and how she was there to really serve her clients and make a difference. The next day, she closed a $4,600 sale. The next week, she secured a 5-figure commitment with a new company. That fast. One belief. Think about how this belief has been holding you back. And are you ready to let it go? I hope the answer, and you feel free to share in the chat box. Yes, the answer is yes. The answer is always yes. Great. All right. Here's our next step. Step number 2 in the authentic formula, our authentic sales formula, is to create an impact goal. This is important. And I use the vernacular of sales goal all the time. I even say sales stretch goal, but sometimes people don't like sales goal. And it took me a while to see that and really figure it out and understand it. And I had a client one time say to me, she said, the main belief I changed was I went from a sales goal to an impact goal. And she went from thousands of dollars a month, not even just over $1,000 a month, to over $300,000 a month in about a year. Yes, because she changed her focus. She stopped having a sales goal and she started to have an impact goal. She thought about all the people she was impacting. She thought about her own family and how she was impacting. She thought about how she was making a difference in the world. And when she connected with that belief about making an impact, then suddenly she could expand her sales goal exponentially because she knew she was making a difference. So what is your impact goal? How many businesses and people do you want to impact? It's not about selling them. It's about solving their problem. It's about making a difference. And take a moment to write down the answer to this question. What is the number one problem that you solve for your clients? Go ahead and write that down. Okay? The number one problem you solve for your clients. Because when you know what that is, it's super easy to have an impact goal. It's easy. Let's jump into the numbers. I want to use some easy numbers here because once you get clear on the numbers, everything else gets easy. The truth is when you have that impact goal, then you can work backwards from the end result and the way to get there always shows up. So let's say, for example, that your goal is $120,000 a year. This is just easy math. It's probably much more than that, but let's say $120,000 a year. That's $10,000 per month. If your average sales is $1,000 and your close ratio is 50%, okay, how many qualified appointments do you need? So let's do the math. Let's say if your average sales is $1,000, how many appointments do you need per month to get to your goal? You need 10, right? If your closing ratio is 50%, meaning you close half the people that you meet with or the prospects you meet with, that means you need 20 qualified appointments per month. I want you to figure out what this number is for yourself, either in this moment, if you have your smartphone with you, or go ahead and figure it out afterwards. But I want to keep going with the webinar, but ultimately this is so important for you to know. Let's say that your goal is 1.2 million a year, 7 figures. That's $100,000 per month. If your average sale is 10,000, how many sales do you need per month? So we divide 100,000 by 10,000. So we know we need 10 sales at 10,000 a month to get to 100,000. Again, if your closing ratio is 50%, then you only need 20 qualified appointments to get to 100,000 a month, which gets you to 1.2 million a year. Do you get the numbers? Okay. Now this is a one-to-one model. You might have a one-to-many model. And so the numbers would be a little bit different. One-to-many means, if you're a speaker, you'd be speaking in front of, a lot of people. So the numbers would be different. But this, for a lot of you though, it's just figuring out exactly how many qualified appointments you need. Now I'm going to share with you a little bit later how to speed that up even faster as we go through this. But knowing your numbers first and foremost is critical. Because once we know that number, once we know your impact number and how many appointments you need to get there, The way to get there always shows up. And this is what surprises people all the time. But the way to get there will always show up. Here's an example. We get emails from clients all the time after they attend our 2-day signature course sales camp. And one of our clients, Cheryl, her goal was to increase sales by $1 million. Now, she had a pretty big, large company, multi-million-dollar company. And she'd been averaging about $2.5 million a year. She came to sales camp at the beginning of the year. And within a couple of months, she'd already added $1 million that fast, which was the goal she'd set at sales camp. Now it was more than $1 million. And so then she raised her goal to $5 million. Now she calls it a stretch goal here, but it's really her impact goal, because in having conversations with her, she's making a huge impact and she's able to give back more and make a difference. So now her goal is $5 million. And she was able to set that impact goal, work backwards, figure out how many clients she needed to get there, and they literally started to show up. So I cannot tell you how important that is to get a clear impact goal and figure out what you need to do to get there. Here's step number 3 in the authentic sales formula. Serve only your top 20%. As I mentioned, I've literally worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients now. And unfortunately, when I first connect with them, what I find is that most of them are working with prospects they're calling on prospects that they should never call on again. And they're afraid to call on their top 20%. So if you're not sure who your top 20% is, just think for a moment. Think about your favorite client. Who is that client that you love to do business with? Who is that client that makes you smile? Who's that client that totally respects you, sees you and your company as the expert, is highly coachable, does whatever you tell them to do as their next step? They appreciate you. They refer people to you. Like, who is that? Because that's your top 20%. And what would it be like in your business and in your life if you only served and worked with your top 20%? I'm guessing it would be life-changing. And yet I know that limiting beliefs are coming up right now, because you're saying, Ursula, if I only focus on my top 20% of prospects, I'm going to lose money. Those other clients, they bring us money. But let me ask you this. Even if they bring you money, do they bring you joy? Or do they bring you pain? In my experience, when you don't work with your top 20%, those clients are typically the ones who take the most time. Your top 20% doesn't take extra time from you. They only receive what they've paid for. They get the most out of what you offer, whether it's a product or a service. They love it. And they tell other people. They don't waste your time. When they're not part of your top 20%, they do waste your time. They frustrate you. In fact, there's probably some clients and some prospects right now who made you wonder why you even started your own company, right? They make you hate what you do. Whereas when you say yes to only your top 20%, you're saying yes to yourself. You're saying yes to your business. You're saying yes to your life. It will change so many things for you. The shift you have to make, though, is within your belief system, because your belief right now is that there's not enough. Because if you believe there were enough, you wouldn't be stuck here. When you believe that there's enough clients, there's enough top 20% to go around, and you start to say no to those clients who aren't a good fit, everything will start to shift for you. You will love your business more. You will love your clients even more. You will grow. You will show up in a different way. You'll step up to the next level. It's such a magical process when you commit to serving your top 20%. It'll blow your mind. So I just want to encourage you to choose your top 20%. And for some of you, if you set your own prices, this isn't everyone, but some of you have a service-based business, you set your own prices. And for a lot of you, you're probably underpriced, probably by half. If you doubled your prices, you'd probably be more in alignment with your pricing. It'd probably be so much easier for you to close sales. So I'll give you an example. One of our clients, Birgit, she sent us this email after sales camp, and she said she added a $2,000 package, but also a $5,500 package. Now for her, she'd pretty much been hourly. She'd been charging by the session, and it was taking a very long time for her to reach her goals. The other thing I said to Birgit, I said, you know what? You're also not serving your clients at the highest level. She said, what do you mean? And because she was always worried about their money. She was worried for them. I said, actually, what you'll find is that when you create packages that serve your clients at the highest level, they'll actually move faster. They'll improve faster. They'll get to the next level, whatever that is based on what you're selling, faster. Blew her mind. The next week, she sold her first $2,000 package. Now, this happens all the time for our clients. When they double their prices, or get in alignment with their price, and it's not doubling for everybody, but for some of you, it's really important to make sure that your prices are in alignment with you and that you have packages that work for people. If you do create your own packages, I recommend only having three options for people to choose from. The top package, high-end, amazing, creme de la creme, incredible package, the middle package, and the lowest package. And then walk your prospects through those packages so they can make a choice, a decision. And that's how you're serving. You're serving when you give them the option to make a choice. We're going to keep going. So much information that I want to share with you yet. So authentic formula, step number 4, is to set meaningful appointments. So often what I see happen for a lot of our clients in the beginning is that they're attending a lot of networking events. Maybe they're even out speaking. They're getting tons of business cards. They have all these people to follow up with. And so they get back to their desk and one of two things happen. Either they do start to follow up, and let's say they met someone at a networking event and they follow up with that person. And in that moment, when they call that person, that person's busy. They're either, heading into a PTA appointment, or they're getting into another meeting and they can't talk in that moment. And in that moment, my client makes the assumption that they don't want to talk to them. And so they stop the process. They don't set the appointment. They never follow up again. Statistically, that's typically what happens. So instead, I want you to think about setting meaningful appointments. Okay. And when you follow up, set an appointment. Don't just start trying to talk to them about your product or service because they're not in the right mindset. They're not ready. And yes, that could mean a phone appointment, or could mean an in-person appointment. It's fine to set phone appointments if that's what you need to do. In-person appointments are usually stronger, but phone appointments are fine. The point being to set a meaningful appointment. Set a different time aside when you are able to meet with this prospect, educate them about what you do, ask them a lot of questions, and figure out whether or not you can solve their problem, whether or not you can help them. That's what selling is. That's what serving is. That's what it is. That's all it is to set those meaningful appointments. One of our clients, Stacy Jordan, she's incredible. Stacy is a single mom. She's shared her story many times. She's just this incredible individual, one of the hardest working people I know. And I met Stacy at a live event. She came up and talked to me afterwards, and she said, I need to make more money. Like, I need to double or triple what I'm making. It's just time. I've had enough. I'm ready to make it happen. And so Stacy came to sales camp and restructured her sales scripts, her appointment setting scripts. And in Stacy's case, she was doing both warm calling and cold calling, mostly cold calling. But she started cold calling her top 20%. And for Stacy, these are major corporations in Southern California. And immediately she started to get appointments on cold calls. She couldn't believe it. She called me. She said, I have so many appointments. I'm taking the president with me. I'm just so busy. So much is going on, setting all these appointments. And she tripled her sales in just 90 days and continued to grow. She's doing phenomenal right now. I think she's more than probably tripled how much she's making as well, and is continuing to blow her numbers away because she's setting meaningful appointments, and she really understood what that meant. You can do this too. Another client, Michael, he was cold calling. And so during Sales Camp, which is our 2-day signature course, I'll tell you about that at the very end. But one of the things Michael did during our 30 minutes of cold calling, he at Sales Camp, again, some people make warm calls, but he was making cold calls. He cold called a $36 million company. He left a voicemail and he got a call back. He received a call back from the CEO's assistant because he knew what to say. He knew exactly what to say, and he knew what to say on a voicemail to get a call back to set an appointment. And he got a call back and he got an appointment because he was intentional in the process. What if it could be that easy? Authentic formula step number 5. Now, this is really important as well. You have to finesse your follow-up, and we'll talk about a little bit about what to say and how to make this easier for yourself. But you have to finesse your follow-up because statistically, people don't buy on the first call. In fact, only 2% of sales close on the first call. Isn't that shocking? And we can get all the way to the fourth call and only 10% of sales are closing. 81% of sales close on or after the fifth call. That's a lot of calling, isn't it? And it's even more painful than that. Half of us give up after the first call. We make one call and we're done. Has this ever been you? And feel free to share in the chat. How many of you make more than one call? How many of you make more than 2 calls? How many calls do you typically make? How many times do you typically follow up? Excellent. Thank you for sharing. I see the numbers. I appreciate your honesty. Half of us give up after the first call. That's a travesty. And it's because we're afraid. It's because we're stuck in our limiting beliefs. And unfortunately, when we get stuck here, we can't get to the next level. We can't serve. We can't make the kind of impact we want to make. 10%. The top 10% of salespeople make 5 or more calls. The top 10%. It's not a lot, is it? But you can do that. You can make more than 5 calls. Yes, it's important to know what to say, and we'll talk about that. But this is the question I get most frequently. How many times should I follow up? And the question after that is, when should I follow up? Well, let me answer the first question first. When should I follow up? Here's my answer. You ready for it? Write this down. When should I follow up? Now. Now. The answer is always now. You should follow up now in this moment. The second you think about it, you should follow up. You should follow up every day. And how many times should I follow up? Well, here's the answer. You follow up until you get a yes. And I mean a clear yes, like I'm ready to be your client and I'm paying you today. A no, a clear no, meaning never in this lifetime am I ever going to be doing business with you. Or we get a next step on the schedule, meaning this is so important, meaning let's say we had an appointment. I set an appointment with you. We talked. We needed a clear next step. Okay. And we put it on the calendar. So it's either a clear yes, a super clear real no, not an objection, but a clear no, or a next step on the calendar. I had a client who told me, she heard me say this multiple times, but she never really got it. And she came back to Reset Sales Camp, which you can do for free. Get to come back and reset it anytime you want to. And she said she finally got this. And she started to either get a yes, they're done, or a no, a clear no, or a yes to the next step on the calendar. And she said once she did this, her sales doubled. Just that one thing, a yes, a no, or a next step. So I cannot stress how important this is in terms of your follow-up. And the answer is always, of course, to make those sales calls today. At Sales Camp, we practice making follow-up calls or appointment setting calls, either warm or cold, for 30 minutes. And people are always shocked to see how many appointments they can set in just 30 minutes. In fact, one of our record holders, our first record holder was 11 appointments in 30 minutes. It was my good friend Tina. And she did it. And after that, it ended up being $70,000 in business. She went on to double and I think probably quadruple her business using just a few of these ideas. And most recently, we had someone set 14 appointments, meaningful appointments in just 30 minutes, which transformed her business. That's how powerful it is to not only set meaningful appointments, but to follow up as many times as you need to get a yes, a no, or a next step. One of our clients, Michelle, she followed up 7 times and finally got an appointment. She called him the Irishman. And, we share with our clients to either use, phone or email or both. And, some of our clients also use texting, but that's, when they already know someone and they're connected. So there's multiple ways, but ultimately it's how do I get an appointment? Once you get an appointment, you can sell, but until you get that appointment, you can't. But after she followed up 7 times, this is what her prospect said. He said, I like your legacy focus and where you seem to be taking it. I'd welcome a chance to talk further. So this would probably be an early next year thing that I would consider, which would also time well with an expansion to my sales team. So he was like, yes, I'm ready. Let's have the appointment. And I think this was a $10,000 or more sale for Michelle. The truth is, you have to make more than 5 calls often. I had another client who said she followed up 11 times. 11 times. And she closed a major sale. Are you willing to do that when you know that it's going to turn into business? Because the truth is, you wouldn't think about people like when someone pops into your mind and think, oh, I should call that person, or wouldn't it be cool to have that person as a client, or wouldn't it be cool to work with that company? When that pops into your mind, it's your duty to follow up. Don't underestimate the fact that there's a reason, right? There's a reason that that person is following up with you. It's happening for a reason. So pay attention. And last but not least, authentic sales formula, step number 6. Make serving a habit. I took out the word selling because let's just throw it out. I know you don't want to be a salesperson. You want to be perceived as a pushy salesperson. Let's make serving a habit, because when you come from that mindset that you're actually serving, it'll change how you show up. It'll change everything. Because if you're serving someone, yes, you're going to collect money from them, but you're serving them because you're going to find out if you can help them or if you can refer them to someone else. Think about it. If every time you followed up, your focus was, how can I serve you? And or how can I refer you to someone else if I can't help you? Think how different that interaction would be. Because literally, and I heard a coach say this one time, there are thousands of people praying for what you have. People who want exactly what you have and who need it. It could be, and when I say praying, yes. When I sold technical training, there were IT managers who were praying for something. They're like, oh, please help me with this. I need this training so I can fix this problem because I'm going to get blamed for this, right? I know some of you are probably coaches. There are people praying, maybe you're a life coach, maybe you're a business coach, people praying for what you have. I know there's healers that are listening. I know there's people who sell products that would make a huge difference for the clients that they serve. This is your chance to make serving a habit. Now, think about this for a second. How many days does it take to change a habit? I can hear you. Some of you are writing in the chat box. Most people will say 21 days. I've heard people say 14 days. It's always like in 7s for some reason. The new research that's coming out says that you can actually change a habit in just 3 days, okay? And you can change a habit in 3 days by tying it to an existing habit. Isn't that cool? So let me play with this for an example. In the morning, when you start your day, what's the first thing you do before you turn your computer on? So feel free to type in the chat box. What do you do? What do you do right before you turn that computer on and you open up your email or you open up social media? What do you do? Yep, great. Okay, in the chat. So, right, okay. Yes, you get your coffee. In California, and I was in Santa Barbara recently, and they were saying that they get their wine in the morning. I'm joking. They don't really get wine, but they said that. So you get your coffee or tea, right? You get your coffee or tea and you sit down and you open up your computer so that you can get your day started. And most people open email next. What I want you to do is to think about what could happen if instead of opening email, instead of opening social media, what if you made 30 minutes of sales calls first thing in the morning? I know a lot of you immediately might say, well, it's too early or this or that. No, it's not. People are answering their phones. Maybe I'm not saying 6 in the morning. I'm saying 7 or 8 or 9 when most of you start your day. What if you started with 30 minutes of phone calls every single day? What would happen? Now, in order to turn this into a habit, what you would do is after you have your cup of coffee in hand, you would start to make sales calls rather than opening up your email or your social media. You follow? And if you did that for 3 days, it could become a new habit for you because you just get conditioned to doing that. Now, it does mean that you have to be prepared. So you would want to have your call list printed out with the people that you're going to call ready to go. Some people will try to use CRMs, which I love. Don't get me wrong. You have to have a CRM, customer relationship management tool, to manage your calls. But I recommend that you update your CRM after you make your calls based on the list that you have in front of you, just because you can make more calls. I shared earlier that in my first sales job, I had to make 100 calls a day. The only way we could do that was to have our call sheets printed out in front of us and to go through. And then we would, because it was a whole day, we would make notes on our breaks and make sure that we got our information in there. But if you did that for 3 days, you would have a new habit. I had a client who adhered to this habit to the point where she sometimes was making phone calls in her car after she would drop her kids off at school just because she needed to get it done every single day. That it became a habit for her. Think how powerful it could be if that became a habit for you. Now, as I mentioned, yes, you can change that habit in 3 days. And I want you to implement something called the power of 15. So I promised you that I would show you how to even fast track this. And it's really easy. Now, what I want you to do is think about how many days we have in a month, okay? And feel free to share in the chat box. We have 30 days, right? 30 days in a month. How many selling days do we have? Okay. A lot of people will say 20, yeah. Some people will say 30, depending on what industry they're in. Realtors say all the time, right? 30 days, 31 days. Most people say 20 days, okay? What if I shared a new process with you? And this is something you can implement immediately. And I'll tell you where this came from. I was invited into a company one time because they were going to fire a salesperson. And the salesperson had been averaging about $12,000 a month. And he was selling a service. And each service that he sold was about $2,000. Okay. And so he needed quite a few appointments to reach his goal. And, if he had 25 high quality appointments and he closed every single one of them, he would get to his goal of 50,000 because he needed to hit 50,000 to keep his job, right? But we figured he couldn't close, like his closing rate wasn't 100%. And so if he needed 25 appointments or 25 new clients to get there, he really needed 50 appointments. But I said to him, how many appointments could you do in the first 15 days of the month? And he thought he could do 40. Like he really had to pack it in. And I said, okay, great. So I said, instead of 30 days, which is what we typically think we have in a month, I said, I want you to think that you only have 15 days. So at the beginning of the month, what if you had to get 40 appointments in the first half of the month? Could you do it? Now, that was a big, major goal, but he really, really pushed to make it happen. And because he piled more appointments in the first 15 days of the month, his sense of urgency changed, right? Because typically when we think of a month, the first week of the month, we don't have a high sense of urgency. The second week, we have a little bit more of an urgency. The third week, we're very urgent, right? And the fourth week, we're panicking. So what if we took that sense of urgency into the front end of the month and piled lots of appointments in the front end? And that's what he did. And he hit exactly 50,000 that month. They couldn't believe it. So he got to keep his job. But that's where this idea came from originally. And it works. Any of our clients who actually practice the power of 15 to get as many appointments in the first half of the month, they always end up going to the next level quickly. So I want to encourage you to take this step because it will make a difference in your sales. I've shared a lot of information with you in a short amount of time today, the authentic 6 steps, and I have more that I want to share with you. But go back quickly and look through the notes that you've taken and star 2 things. What are the top 2 things that you're going to take action on? And then next to those 2 things, I want you to write the date. By when will you take action? By when? Okay? So this is so important. It's one thing to write things down. It's another thing to truly take action. And just to review, today we talked about the 6 steps in the authentic sales formula. Step number 1, we talked about the importance of knowing who you are. You are a professionally persistent problem solver and server. Step number 2, we talked about creating an impact goal and working backwards from the end result to figure out exactly how to get there. Step number 3, we talked about the importance of serving only your top 20% and how that can change your business. Step number 4, I showed you how to set meaningful appointments. Step number 5, we talked about the importance also of finessing your follow-up and what that takes. And step number 6, finally, we talked about how to make serving a habit and how to create that new habit to take your business to the next level. And now is the time to stop struggling in sales and finally reach your sales stretch goals. So I'm so excited to tell you about our signature course, Sales Camp. And I have a super, super duper special invitation for you today. because this could be you. At one of our recent sales camps, our clients, our attendees set over 230 net new appointments valued at over $840,000 in potential opportunity. Yes, real appointments in the room. And our classes are around 30 people. We don't like to go over that because you don't get the impact that you want. So there's always limited space in our classes. But with that small group of people, we set over 230 net new appointments. I'm going to tell you about Sales Camp and everything that you receive when you join us for this incredible signature course, because I want you to say yes to you. The full value of everything I'm going to share with you is over $7,000. And because you're listening to this webinar today, I have some extra special bonus items for you. Here's what you get when you come to Sales Camp. The top 7 sales skills you'll walk away with include, number 1, how to create a 90-day sales plan to double your sales. We show you exactly how to do it, how to reverse engineer what it will take to get there in your business. And it doesn't matter if you sell products or services, we'll show you exactly how to get there. Number 2, we show you how to set an appointment over the phone or through email and get it. And this works. People do it during our class. We show you exactly how to do it. Number 3, we show you how to easily close a sale. I have an authentic sales formula that we take you through in terms of what to say and how to say it in the sales process to easily close a sale. We also show you how to get a call back on a voicemail. Most people don't know how to do this. We give you the exact scripting on what to say. And by the way, when I say authentic sales script, we give you bullet points and you fill it in using your own words from your industry, which makes it really powerful. Number 5, we show you how to follow up and not be perceived as being pushy, and what to say and how to do that. Number 6, how to work with your top 20% of clients. We go deep into this to make sure you're really clear on not only who your top 20% is, but also where they're located and how to get in front of them. And number 7, how to effectively track your sales to reach your stretch goal. It's one thing to have the goal, but how do you track it so you know you're on your way? Some of our clients, just by learning how to track effectively, doubled their sales in their first month. When you come to Sales Camp on day 1, we break through your next level of limiting beliefs. We show you exactly how to create a new belief and how to operate from that new belief. I also talk a little bit about quantum physics, quantum science, and how your beliefs work at a very deep subconscious level and what happens when you change them. And I take you through the process in class. See how happy these people look? It's because they changed their belief. They made calls. They set appointments. We show you how to release your number 1 fear around selling. I walk you through a process that you can use anytime after that. And by the way, everything we teach you, you get to take with you in a workbook so you know you can use it anytime. And third, again, we go into detail on how to create your 90-day plan. Sales Camp day 2, you come to class. And after you've written your authentic scripts, you role play them with other people in the class. That's why you get real-time feedback from people so that you can tweak your sales script so it sounds amazing, so it sounds easy, so it's easy to get that appointment. We also show you how to easily close the sale by selling in the gap, how to have that authentic sales conversation and show someone where they want to go, where they are now, and how your product or service fits right in the middle. And then you can see people on the phone right here. We show you how to make real phone calls in 30 minutes and how to set appointments. Again, our current record holder set 14 appointments in 30 minutes. And finally, how to get calls back on voicemails. What's really cool is on day 2 of Sales Camp, you actually leave your phone on and the phone starts to ring. People get calls back during class because we show you exactly how to do that. And more appointments are set right after we do the 30 minutes of calling because we've shown people how to leave a voicemail that gets action from their prospects. How cool would that be? So you get to start increasing sales immediately. As soon as you sign up for Sales Camp, you get access to our online classes where I will show you how to create your sales scripts right away if you want to, and also release your number 1 limiting belief. So you have these MP3s to listen to the second you sign up. And this is before you come to our live 2-day class. But for some clients, I know they want to get started immediately. So you get our Sales Camp Success System emailed to you immediately. One of our event bonuses, number 1, you get our 60-day sales success intensive virtual training. This is another cool MP3 set that takes you through a 60-day sales success intensive course so that you can, again, get started immediately. Maybe Sales Camp is a month from now, but you want to get started now, you can. And our clients have gotten phenomenal results just by doing our online class. Event bonus number 2, you get our Sales Camp formula for sales pros. This is a $297 value. And so if you're not sure how many appointments you need per month, you get to plug your numbers in. We make it really easy so you can figure out how many appointments you need every month and every week to reach your goal. Event bonus number 3, you get our latest virtual marketing with intention training. This is also an MP3. And I share with you exactly how I bootstrapped my business in the very beginning. I didn't have a huge marketing budget and a lot of things that I did for free to immediately grow my business when it comes to marketing. Our clients love this MP3. Event bonus number 4, you also get our Sales Camp videos. You can watch anytime. So if you want to plug into Sales Camp immediately, you can. You can plug in online. Plus, after Sales Camp is finished, if there's things that you've forgotten or you want to review, you can watch the videos again to just refresh your memory. Event bonus number 5, yes, there's even more. You get to reset Sales Camp anytime. This is almost $1,000 value because you can come back anytime you want to and reset. You get a free reset when you desire. And some of our clients, after they've doubled their sales, they come back and they reset. Here's your super bonus. You get to bring a team member or friend for free. This is one of our top bonuses. So yes, you get to invest in Sales Camp and then you get to bring a team member or a friend for free. So you can invite someone to come with you, or maybe you have a sales team member that you also know needs to have this sales training. So this is phenomenal. So you truly get a 2-for-1. Now, I'm not even putting this in writing, but the first 3 who sign up today, the first 3 will also receive a private 30-minute session with me. And this is for the first 3 who sign up for Sales Camp immediately. So if you know this is what you want and you're like ready to go, sign up. I want you to be one of the first 3 because I want to help you take it to the next level. I shared that story with Patty Cotton. Patty had a $4,600 sale the next day after talking to me. And she hadn't even been to Sales Camp. And then she had a 5-figure deal the next week just by doing the coaching session with me. So what happens is, during that private 30-minute coaching session, I find out what are your number 1 sales challenges, and using neurolinguistic programming, NLP, or any tool for my toolbox, I help you bust through your sales blocks so that you can immediately start selling. And what's amazing is the results that people get from that one 30-minute session. So again, for the first 3, it's not even on your screen, but I know you're still listening. So the first 3 who sign up for Sales Camp, you're going to receive that. And if you're wondering, how do I sign up? On the bottom, you'll see a button on the bottom of your screen, and just click on that button. It'll take you to the page that has more information about Sales Camp, so you can sign up immediately and take advantage of that. I want to show you really quickly what clients are saying about Sales Camp. I could tell you all day. We've seen phenomenal results, but let me show you what our clients are saying.
Ursula really knows what she's talking about.
There's a new technique inside of sales that people need to know, and I got that at Sales Camp.
I called over 15 people, and I booked 11 appointments in 30 minutes. Those 30 appointments have the potential of $70,000 or more, and I am so excited.
It really simplifies everything. You practice them and really make it easy for you to then have confidence to go out and just smash your sales goals that you had before.
We started in November and worked with her until I reached double my sales goal, which was really exciting. And since then, I've actually doubled it again.
Take 2 days, come in, hear it out, and go through all the questions that are in Ursula's training program, and really take a look at yourself, because I think you'll walk away like I did with a whole new idea of what sales is and how it can benefit my business.
It was really incredible to see that transformation that I've come in that last year, and I bought a shirt just for the occasion. I'm a happy camper.
I would recommend Sales Camp and Ursula's products or coaching to anybody. When Ursula had a phone call with me, it was maybe a couple of minutes, and she sensed something that I had not even thought about for myself. And it turned into the biggest sale of my life. When we were on that phone call, she said, you know, it sounds like this business is maybe holding you back from something extraordinary. Have you ever thought of selling it? And I hadn't at the time. But she planted a seed that turned into one of the most beautiful things in my life, and I will forever be grateful for that. We took our team to Sales Camp. That was a great experience. And everything that she puts out really resonates with that business owner or that team, and I would highly recommend her to anyone.
Thank you to all of our wonderful clients for sharing their experience. We love to see these transformations. I mean, it's so rewarding to run into our clients and hear them say, you know what, I doubled my sales, I tripled my sales, I quadrupled my sales. For a lot of you, just 1 to 2 new clients would pay for Sales Camp. And then what will happen for you? Notice I don't say what could happen. What will happen for you when you are committed to growing your sales? When you learn how to easily set the appointment and close a sale, how could that change your life? How could that change your business? I just want to make this so easy for you. So ask yourself 2 questions. Again, what will be different in your business and your life when you significantly increase your sales? Remember, what will be different? What will shift for you? And then second, this is sometimes a tough question, but what is it costing you to stay exactly where you are? What is it costing you to just stay exactly status quo and not move forward? Because I know you're still with me on this webinar because you want to get to the next level. You're tired of being stuck. You're tired of feeling frustrated. You're tired of not being able to pay the bills or to get to the next level that you desire. You're tired of that. So it's costing you your freedom. It's costing you peace of mind. It's costing more in your bank account. What could be different for you? Because it's time. All of this, everything I've talked about, you will receive for $9.97. And this includes all the bonus items we talked about. And for the first 3, and I think 2 people, 2 people have already signed up. This is very exciting. Congratulations. I know more of you are on the sales page right now. And by being one of the first 3, you will also receive that 30-minute call with me. And I want you to know that everything I've talked about is offered to you with an unconditional guarantee. When you attend sales camp for 2 days, and if you came up to me at the end of the 2 days and said, "Oh, I didn't receive what I thought I was going to," or whatever, just give us your binder. We would give you your full refund without any questions asked. But that means you'd have to sit the entire 2 days, because here's what I know. I know that when our clients attend for 2 days, their lives change. Their businesses change. Everything changes for them. Everything changes. And I want that to happen for you as well. So just go ahead and click on the button. It's on your screen right now to learn more about taking the next step with Sales Camp, or to register immediately. It's your time. Now, before we totally wrap up today, I do have a couple of questions. Some of them have come in. There's a couple others that I just want to answer because these questions tend to come up quite frequently. And the first one I already answered. What kind of guarantee do you have? Yes, we offer an unconditional guarantee. Again, after you've attended sales camp, spent the whole 2 days with us, if you came up afterwards and said it wasn't a fit, we would give you your whole refund back. But I guarantee you, if you come for 2 days, something's going to shift for you. Another question, will we get to practice everything we learn in class? Yes. Every time we share a new principle in sales camp, you get to practice it and role play it immediately. And I'm a big believer in getting things in the muscle. Once you practice it, it's very powerful because you remember it. And something remembered means it'll stick with you. Plus, on day 2, as I talked about, you make phone calls for 30 minutes. And this is calling your top 25 prospects. If you don't have 25, bring 5. It doesn't matter how many you have, but we want you to practice. Even if you only had 1 to call, we want you to practice making the phone call and setting the appointment. Of course, the more you have, the more value you're going to receive. Now, no one looks at this information. This is your private, client and prospect information. You keep this for yourself, of course, but you bring these in so that you can practice. And it is exciting to see the breakthroughs, especially when people get calls back from the voicemails that they've left. I mean, there's nothing better than seeing that. Another question, can I bring a team member or friend for free? Yes, I covered that. I think someone asked that question earlier, but yes, you can bring a team member or friend for free to sales camp. It doesn't matter who it is. You get to bring someone with you. And once you register for sales camp, someone on my team will reach out to you to find out who your guest is. So we'll get that taken care of for you. So just go ahead and click on the button and you can sign up for sales camp and get registered now. Yeah. Do I really get to resit sales camp for free? And maybe I wasn't 100% clear on that, but yes, you absolutely get to resit sales camp for free. So you get to come in, and also your guest that you bring gets to resit. So you technically get to take sales camp between the 2 of you. You get to come, 4 times, 2 times for each of you. And how incredible is that value at just $9.97? Like when you do the math and you see what the potential return is, it's unbelievable. I want to thank you again for taking the time to be with me today. This has been a phenomenal journey. I know many of you are clicking on the sales camp page. We can answer more questions for you there. Also, if you need to schedule a phone call with someone on my team or myself, and because you have some questions, or maybe you have multiple people that you want to bring with you to sales camp, please schedule a time to meet with us so we can talk to you about any other things that you might need to know, any concerns, any questions you have, we'd love to chat with you about that. And the truth is, I can't wait to have you at sales camp with us. I know, like, I guarantee this 2 days will change your life. We've seen it happen over and over. You heard from some of our clients today. And the sad part is I run into people all the time who say to me, Ursula, I wish I would have taken sales camp sooner. I wish I would have taken sales camp sooner. Don't let that be you. Like, if you feel the pull, if you feel the tug, like if you know you're supposed to be there, just go ahead and click on the button and get registered today. Don't keep thinking about it. It's your time. Like, you feel the pull because it's your time to join us at sales camp. Again, thank you all for being here with us today, and I can't wait to see you at sales camp. Thanks, everybody.